a few lessons on leadership skills, I guess you could say. Things I've learned after dealing, with a new theory and learning how people interact with something like this. And I tried to write down some leadership ideas here. Hopefully they can help people out. Number 1, take action. Don't expect the experts to do the work for you, or to do any work at all concerning the new discovery or innovation. Don't even expect them to possess leadership qualities, or to have leadership skills whatsoever. They're mostly only doing what their peers are doing. It's that mob mentality. There's no real, this guy's the leader, he knows where we're going, let's follow him. There's none of that. It's, what are my peers doing? Does it agree with them? Are we all on the same level? And then they're stuck. There's no real direction for them. Think of an arrow flying through the air after shooting an arrow. Is there a place on the arrow that hits the target first? Of course. So why do we not have that kind of mentality in the sciences? You need to have a tip to the spear that hits the object first. That's leadership. A lot of them, they don't follow vision. They don't have that kind of ability to envision what's going to happen, where humanity is headed. They usually tend to only follow the money, which is horrible if you think about it. Number 2, let your brain process the ideas which you are confronted with. Sure, you can receive great counsel, but even great counsel takes time to process. This will allow you to think through the decisions which are available. One thing I realized is that your brain will process information without you realizing it. This happens a lot to people who think a lot. When you make an important decision, chances are you're not actually thinking about it. It's not in your frontal cortex at the time, where you're it's constantly on your mind. Chances are if you stop thinking about it, you're still thinking about it. Your brain's still trying to process what's happened to you and what the best actions will be to take, even when you receive great advice. So, for instance, somebody will tell you, hey, you should do this or that or whatnot. Sure, it's great advice, and they can see what you need to do, but chances are you need to step back from the situation, take in the information, and then let your brain process it. Go off and do other things, but then over time your brain will, you'll come to a certain decision without you really realizing that you're processing that information. Number 3, relax. Breathe deeply and allow yourself time to chill. I remember reading a book written by Dale Carnegie. It's another one of those really straightforward titles. I think it's How to Stop Worry and something like that. But he actually overviewed, I think it was Churchill, when he was making certain military decisions, how to get things in order and stuff like that. He wouldn't be, in a big conference where there's a lot of stress and all this stuff. What he would be doing is chilling in his bed, reading over the plans, and allowing himself to really relax when he was making these decisions. That way he could focus and work for very long periods of time on the strategies he was going to be using. Now, I don't know if that's true. I read it out of a book, but one thing's for sure, panicking and freaking out only exacerbates the issues. I have a lot of people in my life that panic and freak out when shit hits the fan, and that's not the best option to take. The best option to take is just to chill, breathe deeply, relax, and see what decisions are going to be in your best interest to make. And that takes time too. Number 4, and unfortunately this is true, but I have to learn, there is a limit to the amount of criticism that can be utilized, good or bad. What this means is that you have to surround yourself with high quality leaders and people who provide complementary insights. You can't do it all by yourself. In other words, as I make these YouTube videos and as I get comments on them, I can't take all the advice, even if it's good, because there's just too much information for me to process. It's just too much. So I have to take little bits and pieces from here and there and try to make the most of it. As well, there are some commenters who have really great ideas that I've seen. And yes, I've been thinking about a lot of those things. Just because I haven't been responding to all of it, I've been thinking about all of it. Number 5, the responsibility of dealing with the consequences of your actions rests on you and you alone. I've learned not to place my blame on others, and the majority of the time I think it's healthy to accept their failures as your own, especially if you're trying to teach somebody something new. If they don't understand it, it's up to you to teach them, and you have that responsibility. That's, within reason, of course. A lot of astronomy and astrophysics experts that are educated these days, I don't believe they have the mental capacity to really understand nature. I hate to use the term idiot, but yeah, a lot of them are idiots. They're overeducated idiots and they don't know any better. So you can't really accept responsibility for their failures. Number 6, become aware of your counsel's strengths and weaknesses and of your own strengths and weaknesses. This is to ensure you can make more rounded decisions. I think being a well-rounded leader is the best option, not utilizing the majority of this or that or whatnot, just to be more well-rounded. That way you can, see things from many perspectives and, be more diplomatic in your decision-making. Number 7, be a real human being, and, this is important. You have to remain humble and focus at the task at hand. A lot of leaders that I see these days, people who step up in society, they sort of lose track of what it means to be a human being and to make mistakes. And they get all these ideas in their mind, and their ego starts taking hold, and before you know it, they're completely subtracted from reality. I see that happening a lot. And the best way to combat that is to always kind of keep yourself on the ground level, to make sure you always know where you came from, in other words. Never get too airy in your thoughts and haughty and stuff like that, because that's where you are going to have your downfall, so with pride. But number 8, don't assume your counsel has your best interest in mind. Only you can decide that, regardless of how strongly they voice their opinion. So yes, over theory development, I realized that a lot of people had their own ideas, but I had to keep focused on my own and to manage my own. I couldn't sit here and accept everybody's ideas, because even then, they'd still conflict with each other. How am I supposed to accept conflicting ideas? That doesn't make any sense. So I have to always make sure that I remain consistent and I remain non-contradictory in my ideas and my actions as, the theory was developed and as everything was progressing and changing over time. Number 9, and this is one of the most important ones, and it's the last one on here. Of course, there are many, many more, but I just wrote these down for a quick talk, is to have patience. And patience isn't just waiting around. Patience is, you're frustrated as hell, you're angry, you're upset, you have all these random emotions welling up inside of you. And to really stop those from taking control of your mind. That's what patience is being able to hold all that back and take the actions you need to take with a clear mind. Acting out on emotions without, patiently waiting them out is how a lot of bad decisions are made, in my opinion. But today is September 13th, 2015. Hopefully people can take these types of ideas and utilize them to the best of their ability. As well, I suggest reading a lot of leadership books and books that overview past leaders, biographies, autobiographies, because they have a lot to teach you. And it's good to really stretch your mind out and to really get a full meaning of what it means to be, alive, and to have great ideas, because it's not easy. It's very, very hard to hold a really heavy idea in your mind. Usually it takes more people than just you to help hold that weight of that idea. All right, later.